is that what we will do is that whoever wishes to go to a separate virtual room where the facilitation will be entirely in Spanish by Ms. Lillia Romero, and the PowerPoint will be in Spanish. Our expert technician, Mr. Jeff Albert, will tell us to join that, will give us the option to join that room. And whoever stays with us, the facilitation will be done in English.
Las personas que desean ir a una sala por separado para que escuchen toda la presentación en español, también todas las diapositivas van a estar en español, pueden hacerlo. La señorita Lillia Romero será quien dé ese taller y Jeff Albert, quien está encargado de toda la cuestión técnica el día de hoy, les va a indicar cuál es esa sala.
So before we move on to
Sorry, I forgot to say one more thing. Quienes se queden aquí en la sala, en este salón principal, van a escuchar toda la presentación en inglés. Thank you.
So before moving on to the next room or staying here starting the workshop, please take a moment and put your name and the school that your children attend, or if you are a community member or organization, please add that information in the chat box.
Antes de que nos dividamos en distintos grupos, por favor, en la ventana del chat escriba su nombre y la escuela en la que están sus estudiantes, o si es nada más usted miembro de la comunidad o de alguna organización, también indíquelo.
Thank you, Gabriela, and
You're
it's
welcome.
all yours, Mr. Albert.
Okay, I will open up the breakout room. If you want Spanish, select that. Sometimes there are issues. If you cannot find the breakout room and you would like to be assigned to Spanish, just indicate in the chat and I will put you there manually.
One question, Jeff.
Yes.
Can we record in the chat, in the breakout room?
Yes, if you can hit record, it will record to your computer and we can chat afterwards on how to, so I can get that and I can post it. Yeah. So the room should be open now, and anybody who needs help, okay.
So Jeff, I see a window on my screen that says unassigned. So how do parents go to the room?
Unassigned is staying in the main room. So you can,
Okay.
if you want to stay in the main room, you can just close the window.
Okay, and if I want to go to the Spanish one, I
Then
see the names.
you go down to the bottom, you go down to breakout rooms and you can select the Spanish breakout room. Or you can let
Jeff,
me know in
I
the chat.
see someone asking to be assigned. Familia Castillo, they want to go to the Spanish room.
I've already assigned them.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm keeping an
So-
eye on that.
Gabriela, could you say in Spanish that there are the names at the kind of the window that opened on the screen? All that they have to do is to click on join and they will go to the Spanish facilitation room.
Sí, apareció una pantalla, perdón, se apareció una pequeña ventana en su pantalla donde dice que se le está asignando a usted a la sala donde el taller está en español. Simplemente haga usted clic en Join y así llega usted a la sala donde va a hacer la presentación en español.
Thank you.
Quick question, Jeff, is there a Zoom code for anybody who wants to call in from their phones?
I don't know how that would work with the breakout room, but yes, if somebody wants to call in from the phones, I can put that in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Connie from Longfellow.
Hi, Connie.
I hope my parents don't have problems, because I cannot make it from my house. I have to come to school because I cannot do it on in my house.
What happened, Connie?
I don't know what happened.
Oh,
But I cannot, I have to call my principal for them to open the door for me.
well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel sad for my parents. I don't know what happened. If that happened to me, I hope that's not the same with my parents. Sorry. Thank you.
So I think Lillia is in the other room because I don't see her here. Am I
Correct, she
mistaken?
is.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that needs to go into the Spanish room?
¿Alguien más quiere ir a la sala donde la presentación será en español? Nos lo puede indicar en el chat, por favor.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's start. Thank you, Jeff, for your technical support and making this possible. So Ms. Farinas and Mr. Lanigan and Ms. Sorensen Hernandez, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I was just sharing with my colleagues that I'm so glad we're doing this on Zoom because of the rainy weather, and I'm thankful we're not driving in the rain and looking for parking. So I'm just counting these tiny blessings. Before we begin, just a real quick intro to who we are. I know you saw our names, but just so you recognize our voices, I'm Ella Farinas. I'm the instructional coach at Washington Middle, and I'm going to pass the mic to Brian.
It's not raining.
Just to do a quick intro, that's my son talking.
Hi, everyone. Just like Ella said, I'm so happy you're all here tonight. I'm Brian Lanigan, and I'm the instructional coach at Sierra Madre Middle. Welcome.
And there's Gina Hernandez, who's always on mute. So welcome, parents. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Gina Hernandez, and I'm the instructional coach at Longfellow Elementary. So thank you for joining us in this important work.
Thank you. And our last but definitely not least, our colleague Lillia Romero from Marshall is on the other line doing this presentation in Spanish. But without further ado, let's move on to the next slide, please. All right, so I always like to begin with a little icebreaker. Again, we are a community, and I always like to engage the group in a quick community activity with Halloween looming around the corner. I know in my household, all my family is talking about is candy, candy, candy. And with that being said, oh, I said the C word in the house in front of my son. I would like everyone to think back to, your childhood. And in my household, we didn't celebrate Halloween, but I knew about the candy. With that being said, I invite everyone to type in the chat their favorite Halloween candy.
Can I tell you mine?
No. Ooh, we got some Kit Kat. Yes. Snickers, Twix, Kit Kat, Almond Joy. My son here is saying Kit Kat. Peanut butter cups. Nice. A lot of chocolate lovers. Milky Way. Candy corn. You know, I didn't try candy corn, Suzanne, until I was an adult. I saw everyone eating it. I didn't understand. I had no idea how good it was until
Candy corn's good.
Is it good, honey? Okay. Theo concurs. He says it's really good. Awesome. Anything with peanut butter. For me, it was all about Snickers. And then I like peanut M&Ms, and the peanut butter M&Ms are the new one. Oh, nice. Thank you all for sharing that. Lots of chocolate lovers in the house. Kit Kat, Twix, Smarties, Kit Kat. What do we have left here? Peanut M&Ms. Those are bomb. Oh, Susan got really sick eating too much candy corn. Wax teeth with I never understood the mystery liquid, Raquel. It's still a mystery to me.
I agree with Raquel. There's something really great about those wax teeth with the mystery liquid.
I never understood them, but something about having the fangs was really cool. Okay, my next question, my follow-up question, everyone. Which candy did you not like receiving? There's always a kind of candy like, oh man, which candy was that? And type away. Which one, honey?
Getting I forgot.
Tootsie Rolls, yep.
I forgot what those.
Which ones?
That like those sour thingies. It's
Sour circles?
Yeah.
Which ones are
And they're
those?
like flat and they're really sour.
Oh, you don't like the sour candy?
Yeah, but I only like sour.
Okay. So Theo likes Sour Patch Kids, but not the other sour candy. Tootsie Rolls always make me angry. I'm like, more Tootsie Rolls. Let's see here. Okay, so we all got the Tootsie Rolls. Gummies. Tootsie Rolls, black licorice.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I hate that.
Carrie, my son agrees with you. Black jelly beans. What flavor are black jelly beans? Are those licorice as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're black licorice.
Oh,
Jelly beans.
yeah. Ew.
I don't care for them, not at all.
Me either.
Yeah, I never cared for those. Oh, and Twizzlers. I never cared for Twizzlers either.
Red vines are the best.
Oh, Susan's funny. Tootsie Rolls want to be chocolate, but they're not. Yes, you nailed it. That's exactly what's wrong with them. I was like, and I only ate them when I was desperate. Does anybody want to unmute and just talk about their favorite or least favorite candy? Raquel says the Twizzlers are the plastic version of red vines. Yeah, they're both, yeah, they are kind of plasticky to me. Awesome. All right. Thank you all for engaging. I always like to start with an icebreaker because, you know, there are so many things that bring us together as a community, and candy is one of them. And with Halloween looming around the corner, I know there's lots of talk around candy. So thank you all for playing with me. Next slide, please. Okay, so we are here to talk to you about accelerated learning. And before we get into a long explanation as to what it is, I just want to explain to everyone like the why. You know, we have reasons for making the decisions that we make for the children we care so much about. And as you all know, you know, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. And from the time California went into emergency remote learning, PUSD has been researching the best practices in instruction. So when we went into emergency learning, we, you know, were searching high and low for best practices in online learning. And now we've come out of online learning and we're still searching for best practices. So this presentation is a summary of the current findings and an explanation as to why accelerated learning was decided upon as the best option to support our students. Next slide, please. Oh, Brian, I think this is you.
All right, everyone. So the next thing we're going to talk about is our PUSD priorities for 2021-22. So we're focusing on 3 key priorities. They are access, acceleration, and equity. So access, and I'm just going to read it, means removing the predictability of success or failure in our advancement metrics or in our experiences that correlates with any current or historical racism and system of privilege that continue to minorize groups and privilege others. So acceleration is supporting students to engage in grade level content with just-in-time supports as needed. And equity is the process of ensuring equally high outcomes for all students. So that's our 3 key priorities for this current year. And I'll switch on to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so our goals for this evening, we are going to explore the rationale for taking an accelerated approach to respond to our students' unfinished learning. And we're also going to contrast the differences between remediation, which is a previous model, and learning acceleration, which is where we are now. And then we're also going to learn what acceleration looks like for students, for the teachers, and for you, the parents. Next slide.
Okay, so traditionally, accelerated learning was a type of pedagogy that we used to teach the advanced kids, the kids that were high, the kids that wanted more work or they wanted more of a challenge. They were bored easy, so we were looking for things to challenge those students and to keep them engaged, right? But isn't that good for every child? We'll get to that later. So typically, it's been shown that kids that are below grade level are getting grade level content that's below their grade level. So if you're behind and you're not at grade level, you're getting work that's not at your current grade level, right? And that's happening 75% of the time. So that's not good. And then they're just playing catch up all the time. So they're continually working behind where they should be. So those are the two spectrums. And then we have Hurricane Katrina that happened, right? So there's been so much research that has been done around that travesty that happened. Kids were out of school for so long, right? So we realize that that's not effective. So the kids that when they go back to school after missing so much school, they're starting to pick up where they left off, and the gap is not closing. So it hasn't worked. It actually widened the gap. Next slide, please. So how is acceleration different from remediation? This is something that we're going to spend some time talking about during our workshop today. It's going to be really important, and hopefully that you'll walk away with a better understanding of what this means for your child. So we're moving toward acceleration and we're moving away from remediation, and hopefully we'll make that clearer for you tonight. Next slide.
And so the historical approaches to unfinished learning. So we typically in the past use 3 different approaches to supporting students that aren't getting it. So one was retention. So retention is it's students that have fallen far behind their peers are retained and required to repeat an academic year of school. And that was historically what we had done. So that's why we have kids that are coming into like senior year of high school at like 18 or 19 years old. So that's something that we had done that we have found is not as effective. Social promotion. So students continue with their age peers regardless of their academic performance. So on the flip side of that is we're promoting kids on, even though they're not ready. So they might be reading at a grade level that's 2 or 3 grade levels behind what they should be, but then we move them on because we don't want to keep them back. So, but then they're still not getting the skills that they need. And then to help both of these problems, we used remediation. So at a basic level, remediation or reteaching means teaching again content that students previously failed to learn. And that's the model that we had been using for intervention for kids that were falling behind. We would just reteach concepts from previous grades, and we'll keep drilling and killing those same contents. And we're going to talk about a strategy that's more effective than that.
Okay, so we thought we would introduce the concept of acceleration.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so we're actually going to let Bart Simpson introduce introduce the concept we're trying to hit home with. Basically, previously, retention, holding kids back didn't necessarily help them. Moving them forward when they weren't ready didn't help them. And then just reteaching them the same thing over and over didn't help them. And so it's time to rethink this. And so I think we might have to rewind it a few seconds, Brian, but sure. You're going to see Bart Simpson in a remediation classroom, and he's going to give you a little nugget of knowledge. So, okay, so be prepared to take mental notes. Oh, I don't hear sound. Do you all hear sound?
Take out my headphones sometimes. Let's see if you can hear it now.
Okay.
Can you hear?
Now,
Yeah.
Everyone take out your safety pencil and a circle of paper. This week, I hope we can finish our work on the letter A.
Let me get this straight. We're behind the rest of our class, and we're going to catch up to them by going slower than they are. Cuckoo! Cuckoo!
Stop it! Stop it! Lauren, Melvin, Gary, Don, Gordy!
Okay, and so this is just a funny way to look at it. Humor always gets a point across, but basically Bart Simpson in his, this is just such a nugget of knowledge right here, a nugget of wisdom. And he said it, acceleration means to speed things up. But if we're trying to get our kids to catch up to a grade level, having them slowing them down is not going to get them to catch up. What we need to do is give them what they need in the moment to move them forward toward grade level standards. And so that's what Bart Simpson is essentially saying. We're not going to review the ABCs all the way up to 4th grade. It's obviously not going to work. And then students, frankly, they know this. They pick up on that and they tune it out. So it didn't work. So we're moving on to acceleration. Next slide, please.
So now we're going to talk about the difference between remediation versus acceleration. And like Ella and Jeanette said, remediation is something we had typically done before, and acceleration is what we're moving towards. So remediation focuses on rote drills. So you're doing like flashcards of like your math facts, like your multiplication facts, which does have its place, but remediation focuses heavily on that. It also focuses heavily on practicing skills in isolation. It looks at previous grade content and then mastering content from previous years. And a lot of the times we don't give the students what they're doing right now, the current grade level standards, because we're focusing too much time on things from previous years. In contrast to that, accelerated learning focuses on and it strategically prepares students for current grade level content. So teachers, and our teachers are doing this right now, we're continuing to teach the grade level content, the standards for the current grade level. We're making sure students get that, they do not miss that, and they don't miss that in place of getting remediation for skills in previous grades. Accelerated learning also prepares students for new learning. So we're always learning new things. Each grade level has new concepts. So accelerated learning gives great kids the new concepts for the year. And accelerated learning focuses on so to think about it, kids still do need those skills that they haven't mastered from previous years. They have unfinished learning from the pandemic. So, but instead of spending a long time teaching those same skills from the previous grades and focusing the majority of instruction on that, past content is woven in. So the skills are woven in just in time. So they're really strategically placed in so that the students can access the new content. So they give them the prerequisite skills for the previous learnings so that they can access the new content. Okay, let's see, next one. And so we're gonna hear some of the research, and some of the research has found that students who experienced learning acceleration struggled less and learned more than students who started at the same level but experienced remediation instead. And that would be fairly intuitive because students with acceleration get their grade level content, and students with remediation just continue to get the previous skills that they learned in the past. And another point is that students of color and those from low income backgrounds were more likely than their white, wealthier peers to experience remediation, even when they had already demonstrated success on grade level content. So with teachers having the best intentions to try to give all of their students access to the curriculum, they focus on remediation more with students of color and students with less wealthy backgrounds. And then point number 3, learning acceleration was particularly effective for students of color and those from low income families. And acceleration is a good strategy for all students, not just students of color and from low income, but it particularly supported students of color and those in low income families. Okay.
Thank you, Brian. That was a great explanation of the difference between remediation and acceleration. I really like visuals. So I wanted to provide you guys with the visual that will help kind of hopefully clarify this in your mind. So if you look at the top, you'll see A, B, and C, and they're all in various shades of blue. They don't represent a grade like an ABC grade or anything. Basically, they just represent some type of knowledge, a standard, a skill, or some sort of practice from a previous grade. This is remediation. This is what remediation looks like. And then you look at the bottom with all the months at the bottom, and then you see, you start with A, then you go to the other shade of blue, which is B and C. That is basically spending the first half of your year going back and trying to fill in the skills and standards that they didn't quite get before you even get to the grade level content, which is what you have in the D. So the D, which is the green squares you see in February, starts to now begin starting to teach grade level standards, which is not great because the kids are not, they're missing a half a year getting their grade level work. They have less opportunities to practice the skills that they're learning. And so it again starts to widen the gap even more, because when they go to the next grade level, they're going to have all the green that they didn't quite finish that year flowing into the next. So I just want to, can you just leave this here a minute, Brian? So I just want to give people a chance to really look at this visual. It took me a little bit to digest it, but it really is pretty powerful when you see the next slide. Okay, Brian, next slide, please. So this is what we're moving toward, and this is the acceleration. So this acceleration provides just-in-time support when necessary. And what that means is if you look at the top, you'll see the blue again. You'll see the A, B, and C. Those are the knowledge, skills, practices that they didn't get from the previous grade. But when you look at below with all of the months listed, you'll see pieces of green throughout the whole year, right? You'll see even in September, or end of August, they started with new grade level skills. But you'll see the blue A in August woven in. You'll see it later in November. You've got your other blue there. So wherever you're seeing blue, those skills from previous years are woven into what they're doing now to help them access their grade level standards and work that they're doing now. So they're getting the chance to practice grade level skills throughout the year as they're filling in the gaps. So just take a minute to look at that. They're getting a chance to finish up that learning that they may have missed, the unfinished learning. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I think we might need to go back. There's a question in the chat.
Oh, sure. What happens with B learning? So this B learning would be woven in there as well. Thank you for bringing that up, Terry. It's just an example. So you would weave in B throughout here. So anything that they would have missed before would be woven in here. For example, this is very just lower level, but if you have a student who is having trouble with place value, but you're adding 2-digit numbers and you're having to regroup, you could be teaching, like where you see in November, you have like the A and the C, you could be doing some work with place value. So they're understanding 10s and 1s as they move into adding 2-digit numbers. So it just depends what it is, but they do get the B as well. Thank you.
Thanks for clearing that up, Gina.
Yep.
Okay. So with accelerated learning, there are 4 focal points in mind when our teachers are tailoring content for the needs of their students. And so the 4 focal points are self-efficacy, basic skills, prior knowledge, and relevance. And I'll talk about each one in turn. And so looking at that first box, it says self-efficacy. You know, when we create lessons for our students, I give them what they need so that they can be successful at grade level content. It builds a self-confidence and student engagement increases. Looking back at Bart Simpson, if he's reviewing the letter A over and over, then if kids have to review the same old thing over and over, they don't feel confident. They start to feel like they're less than, and they disengage. But if we are giving students what they need to meet grade level content, they become confident, they become more engaged in the lessons, and then their academic progress becomes evident because if they're engaged, they're more likely learning. And at the end, we have more confident children, which is, I think, what we want for all of our kids. The second box, basic skills. The skills are handpicked just in time for those new concepts. And so, you know, teachers will look for those little pieces that are missing that they need to do the grade level task and customize it there. And so the skills are handpicked just in time for the new concepts. Students apply these skills immediately. And so the instruction is customized for them. The third, yes.
Oh, sorry, Ella, we had a quick question in the
oh, thank you.
Do you want me to save it to into your slide or?
Let me take a look here. What if the subject is dependent on scaffolding of content? How is frustration managed? Let me,
I haven't thought about that. If you want me to.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask Raquel. Raquel, can you expand a little bit? Are you okay unmuting? I know it's bedtime for some people.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Oh,
Was that an echo?
Yeah. a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, but I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I totally understand that whole the A and the B and the D. What if it's, for example, like math or writing, where now they're developing the writing skills, and at first it's just kind of like the sentence structure, and by the third month, they're already writing like their whole report. How is a child being moved along when the content in D is like the scaffolding of content is dependent on them already grasping and mastering A, B, and C? So in math, it's more of the rote skills, but what about in like writing? Because I understand that in maybe social studies where it's not so dependent, but how is that? What does that look like in the subjects where the information is necessary and dependent on scaffolding?
So if you're talking about writing, like with the writing is like, it's a process, right? Like there are many iterations of it. So the writing, I mean, I think like right now we're almost in November. What happens is they're gonna make incremental steps, right? So we're not going to see like grade level mastery right now. And so we still have lots of time ahead of us. And what the teachers are doing is they're looking for those little skills that they have to focus on as they move along. And so let's say we're able, now I don't know what specific skills are, in this case, but let's say we need to focus on punctuation. Like we choose the skills that are high leverage. Like, okay, we're going to focus on this skill. And once they manage that, we move on to the next skill. And so there are many iterations of it, and it's just an ongoing process and lots of going back to see, okay, what's been learned? Okay, what's needed next? And just plugging in those pieces. And then I know Gina had something there too.
Yeah, I'd like to just add to that, Ella, and is that, with the workshop model that we use right now, it's a great way for teachers to be meeting with their students at their level. So although they are providing those scaffolds, your teachers should still be conferring with students, working with them in small groups, one-on-one, giving them feedback, giving them support. So if your child should be getting support through workshop as well, where the teacher is working with the child on what they need.
Oh, thanks for that, Gina. That's true. Yeah. So with the workshop model, like the conferences are happening a lot, and there's also peer conferencing, like students are working with each other. And I think we just have to trust that it takes time. Like workshop, it's not a one and done. It's such an ongoing process, and the work carries over into the following years. And so we're always just building on and building on.
Raquel, do you have questions about do you want more explanation about what we mean by workshop? Or are you good with that?
Is that the collaboration time between the students and then the feedback?
Well, in your classroom, teachers are doing, the way instructions should be happening is the kids are receiving a mini lesson, and then teachers are working with either small groups of kids. So let's say it's the teacher has a writing lesson. If your child, I'm sure there's other students that have the same need. The teacher would pull the kids together and support them and give them those scaffolds as they're beginning their writing. And then the teachers are also doing what they're calling conferencing with students. So they have a routine check-in with each child to look at the work that they're doing, to see what they need support with, and to see what they're ready for next.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I want to go back to,
Oh,
I'm looking for those arrows. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the students are getting customized instruction, and with workshop, it's very iterative. Like we always go back and always check in with the kids to see just what they need. And then typically there are a few kids who have that same need, and that's why the teachers target them in small groups. The third box says prior knowledge. The key knowledge is provided ahead of time, which gives students allows them time to connect with new information. And we really try to tap into what they already know. So we like to activate the prior knowledge, and it's really working with the student's strengths. So the thing I really appreciate about accelerated learning is that it's very much strengths-based. We're really trying to disrupt deficit thinking and deficit talk. Like instead of saying, like, okay, yes, our kids might not all be where we want them right now, not yet, but we're really trying to be strengths-based and have a growth mindset. And then the fourth focal point is relevance. We really treat relevance as a very critical component to student motivation. If it's not relevant to the students, then they're not going to be motivated to learn. And so we really, really try to keep all our lessons and units as relevant as possible, drawing on student interest, and this relevance leads to rigor. Next slide, please. And so, the question we most often get from parents is, what can we do? What can we do? And the fact that you're here at this meeting lets us know that, okay, number one, you're doing the right thing by being here, you're connecting with us and asking what can be done. And it really does take a village to teach a child. And so these are some points that, we're probably already doing these things, but, this just shows that you're doing the right things. So you want to show an interest and be invested in your student's day. And, I'm a working mom and sometimes I'm very busy, but try to, stop and ask your child about their day, what was learned and what was challenging. Or, I usually ask my kids, what did you learn? And they like to tell me, and I'm like, what was challenging for you? And they look at me kind of funny, but they will tell me what was challenging. And that's good because I need that. I need the data from my kids so I can talk to their teacher. The second bullet point there says check their homework. And I'm not saying that we have to be experts at the homework, and please don't do homework for your kids, but check their homework and make sure it's complete and accurate to the best of their ability. Teachers know that this is independent and it's just independent practice. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be theirs. Third bullet point says partner with teachers. Again, it takes a village, and your teachers, they want to partner with you. They may not always have the time to talk to you like before the bell rings because they're getting things ready. But do email them or send them voicemail. A lot of them have the Remind app, but partner with your teachers, ask them what you can do to support them and your child. Make sure your child is well rested. We want our kids to be alert and feeling good when they're in school. Maintain good attendance. Missing one day, they miss so much if they miss one day of school. And so I know sometimes that, kids get sick and sometimes they're, we have to quarantine. Oops. I apologize. That's my first grader. He should be in bed. We want to maintain good attendance. Make sure your students, this is for the older students, make sure that they have their Chromebooks charged. And I always recommend to my students, bring your charger with you because we use our Chromebooks so much throughout the day, especially in secondary. So make sure you have your Chromebook charged before you go to bed and make sure your supplies are ready each day. These new Chromebooks I found have a ton of problems with the battery. And one way to get around that is to make sure you shut down your Chromebook at the end of the day before you charge it. That's just one hack I have learned recently. I'm also an EdTech innovator, and shutting down your Chromebook before charging it has taken care of most of those problems. And then provide a quiet place to work and to read. And read is in capital letters because it is just so important. But even that reading, even the leisure reading, not just the reading that's required for homework, but give them a quiet place to do that leisure reading. We really want to build their reading stamina and that love of reading. Next slide, please. Wait, something's missing. There it is. Sleep matters. So when we were creating that previous slide, I was like, you know what? Yes, we know we need to make sure our kids get plenty of rest, but how much do they need? So research shows that most children aged between 5 and 12, our school-age children, they get about 9.5 hours of sleep. But experts agree that the majority of children under 13 need at least 10 to 12 hours of sleep. And when I pulled up this chart, I felt awful because I thought my 7-year-old was getting enough sleep. It is 7:17. He hasn't had dinner yet. If I want him to wake up at, Brian, can I get you to point at the top where it says rise and shine? Time? Thanks. So let's say I want my son to wake up at 7 a.m. and he is 7 years old. So Brian, if you can scroll down, he needs to go to bed at 7:45 p.m. For him to get enough sleep. So this is a really nice chart because in my head, I know he needs 10 to 12 hours of sleep, but sometimes I need to know what time he needs to go to bed so that I can best prepare him. And so this chart I appreciate because it's good for ages 5 to 17. Yes, our teenagers need sleep. our middle schoolers especially need sleep. They're going through their greatest growth spurt, and their brains are doing the most growth at this age, and they do need their 10 to 12 hours of sleep. In the middle school, my students tell me the times they tell me to go to bed, they go to bed. Just makes me shake my head like I'm tired just hearing it. So make sure your students get plenty of rest. Insufficient sleep can reduce their ability to function well. When kids go to bed too late, they develop unhelpful sleeping habits, and that affects their behavior and their learning. Sorry, my son needs to go to bed. Let's see here. Was Lillia going to come back to us? Do we remember?
I don't know if she's on the same pace as us, so maybe she's a little bit behind.
Yeah.
We're supposed to send, I'm going to send her a message to come.
Okay.
We have a message from Elizabeth, says that Lillia is behind, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, do we want to do any questions right now?
Yeah, let's do that. We have time for Q&A. If anyone has a question, I invite you to either, you can unmute and just step up to the mic, or you could type it in the chat for us.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so as parents, to kind of support more of the accelerated instead of the remediation approach, which I think probably most of us have been conditioned of doing, how do we kind of help bridge those gaps? Are we doing harm if we do some of the rote skills and revisit some of the A's and B's while the teachers do the D's? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, you feel free, team, to chime in where you'd like, but if you want to do some of those supports at home and just to give that extra practice, I don't think it's going to hurt. I think it would be beneficial to have the extra practice, but we just want to make sure that the time in school is spent just enriching their learning and their education, and that they're able to keep up with the standards that are being taught on their grade level. But the support at home, I think the teacher would really appreciate that, as well as the child. What about you, team? Any thoughts on that?
I was just going to say that, it's not going to hurt. And I think teachers appreciate the extra time that parents spend with their children on these skills. And I think also the teachers are probably plugging in those little pieces as well. But if parents want to, kind of hone in a little bit more, it's always appreciated. And I don't think it's going to do any harm.
Yeah. But I'd like to also say that anytime you can make it a game or fun,
Gamify
that's super important, because they're spending so much time at school working really hard, and anything that they can do at home that, you can turn almost anything into a game. So just look for fun ways to work on those skills.
And I was trying to think of an idea for language arts and for writing in particular about where we would use acceleration instead of remediation. So I'm going back more to a lower elementary where halfway, partway through the year, they could start moving on to paragraphs, but then some kids aren't even able to write a sentence. So what the parent shouldn't do is spend so much time trying to get the kids to write a complete sentence with a capital letter, subject and predicate with a period, but still focus on the big picture, which is getting a group of ideas together as a paragraph. So the teacher can still do a little bit of focusing on sentences, but in acceleration, the teacher is going to want to go ahead and teach that paragraph writing to the kids, even if they're still not 100% clear on writing sentences.
So
how do parents know? I mean, we have a regular conference in the fall, like, which is a sort of a formal time to meet with the teacher. But with so many, I feel like there's so many, the way I've heard this described, there's so many specific skills that teachers know about that kids need, and it seems like the idea is to really kind of hone in on those things that you're going to need this thing that you didn't quite master last year or whatever, to do this project that we're doing now, or to learn this thing that we're learning now. How do teachers communicate those to parents so that parents can be supporting when it's so, it just seems like it's at such a fine-grained level with things that, in the way I've heard this described?
Well, Ella, I think you touched on that. Something you said resonated with me when we're talking about really focusing on the key skills. So if there's a student who has a lot of things of unfinished learning that is like, especially foundational skills, you might just, I know that in our conferences we've been having, we're just asking parents, like, just help them with, learning their high frequency words, or work on, math facts, or just, something that's doable and easy for parents. But as far as just, there are so many things, but a lot of those things are connected. So the foundational skills, I think, are the place to start. And a teacher would be very happy to share those with the parent who's interested in giving them things to do at home.
I just want to add to that. I like to remind parents, yes, we had parent conference day, but that is not the only time. Like teachers welcome, we're always trying to get a hold of parents, and we're all so busy, but if a parent were to call and say, oh, like, can I have concerns about my child, teachers are so happy to have that conversation. Like, oh, okay, this is the skill we're working on right now. And, little Johnny is struggling with this piece. However, he knows how to do A, B, and C. So we can use these, we can build on these strengths to get him toward writing a paragraph, for example. So yeah, teachers, we don't have to meet once a year. We can meet more often as needed. And also, like, a lot of these skills, a lot of the unfinished learning is, I think, a lot of that foundational stuff. And so those skills that were not mastered previously, the ones that we're kind of providing just in time, they tend to spiral back. And so we will get that spiral review. One example that I recall with geometry, for example, we have some students who are working on the form, for calculating the area of a parallelogram, and they have to know the formula. But I mean, I can just give you the formula, and then they have to know how to multiply. Well, I'm not going to spend my time on multiplying multiple steps. Like, that's what this is for. It's my cell phone. Like, we have calculators. There are certain things that in real life, we're not going to have to be able to do long division and write out all our multiplication tables. Like, we have these things at hand. So just kind of knowing what skills really will be needed long term and which ones are convenient, and I think the teachers know how to help their students, hone in on those things. Oh, I see something in the chat. Lillia is ready to come back. Can Jeff bring her back? Can she not exit?
I think he needs to. Oh, is there an exit?
Yeah, she can just exit the breakout room.
Okay.
Can someone message her?
Do we know?
They're coming back. Everybody's coming back. So there's
awesome.
Everybody will be back soon.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I'm looking to see if our participants are back. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back. Okay, Lillia, how many of you were in the other room?
I think it was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it was 6 of us, I believe.
Oh, nice. Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome back, everybody. We just wanted to make sure that we were all able to get back together and do what's called an exit ticket. And before I pass the baton to Lillia, I want to explain what an exit ticket is. This is a strategy that teachers use. So this is a way a teacher gets to know. This is a real quick strategy that teachers do with students. It's something where students write on a piece of paper or on a Post-it what they've learned and what they need. And teachers use this to see what needs to be taught next. So this is a way of collecting data from the students to see, to check for understanding and to see what learning and what teaching needs to be done next. So Lillia, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Bueno, pues les puedo decir a los padres que están con nosotros en español. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Que esto es una estrategia que también se utiliza para que los estudiantes les muestren a los maestros cómo es que algo que ellos aprendieron. Entonces, como les decía a mi grupo que estuvo conmigo, vamos a escribir aquí algo que ustedes aprendieron sobre de lo que presentamos, del aprendizaje acelerado. Y lo pueden escribir en el chat. Y luego también, si gustan, también pueden decirnos qué es algo que les gustaría aprender más, acerca de lo que les gustaría aprender más. Porque eso nos ayuda a nosotros, ¿verdad? Para poder diseñar las próximas sesiones que vamos a tener. Pero también en un salón, en un aula, los maestros empiezan a dar cuenta qué es lo que los estudiantes necesitan, ¿verdad? En este caso, cómo van a personalizar la instrucción para cada individuo dentro de su clase. Entonces, si pueden tomar unos momentos, por favor, de escribir algo que quizás ustedes aprendieron o que les llamó la atención.
¿Y en inglés, por favor?
So, I'm pretty much translated what Miss Farina said. But yes, please feel free to go ahead and write in the chat something that new or something that drew your attention, caught your eye regarding accelerated learning, but also what you're looking forward to learning more about, because as presenters, this is going to also help us get an idea of what is it that we can tailor or customize these upcoming presentations to meet your needs too. So Alejandra Campos nos dice que la remediación a veces no funciona con todos los grupos, ¿verdad? Exacto. Thank you, Ms. Campos. It's good to have you here. Ms. Castillo nos dice, el aprendizaje acelerado es mejor método que la remediación. Okay, so Ms. Morellis has written here in the chat that accelerated learning is actually a better methodology than remediation. Yay! And Ms. Gloria, la remediación afecta más a los alumnos de color y de bajos recursos, y ellos se benefician más de la aceleración. One thing that we also discovered from learning about these investigations that have been done, the research has shown us that remediation actually affects our students of color and low income, but they benefit most from acceleration. Thank you, Ms. Gloria. Okay. Thank you all for your participation today. Virginia nos dice equidad, individualizar necesidades de los estudiantes para continuar aprendiendo en sus mismos grados. Los maestros tienen mucha responsabilidad para la asesoría de todos los niños en necesidad. So Ms. Virginia, what caught her attention was this whole concept of equity and the individualized needs of all the students in order to continue the learning in their level, at their level, grade level. Teachers have a great responsibility to identify and assess what all the students need. Thank you. If we were
Ms. Romero, La pregunta número 2 que dice qué es lo de qué quiero aprender más, se lo puedo decir porque me tardo menos.
Sí, claro que sí. So
Okay.
she's going to answer the second question.
Ujú. Esa pregunta para mí es, a mí, la próxima vez que nos juntemos, quiero saber en papel y así, ¿no? Como esto es lo que se está implementando en el salón de clases. Esto es lo que se está haciendo con los estudiantes que tienen esas necesidades. Y hablar de estrategias. La estrategia A, B y C se está aplicando ahorita con estos niños. ¿Qué es lo que realmente está pasando en la realidad en los salones de clases y no solo en un papel que me están leyendo? A mí me interesa saber eso.
Perfecto. In the current reality within schools. Okay, so I just translated what Ms. Virginia would like to see as this is her response to question number 2.
That's
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you for that.
Implemented, not implanted. Sorry, I was typing.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
I speak English too, but it's like, because I read all this information, it sounds beautiful. I'm telling you, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have a wonderful night, just dreaming that everything is so perfect, so good. But in reality, I wanna see what is taking place in the classroom. What are the outcomes? If something is not working out, what's plan B, plan C? Do you have the ability to like plan, do, and review? Or are you gonna finish doing plan 1 until the end of the year and then you're gonna say, oh, it didn't work, so let's try a different strategy? So I care for outcomes and what's taking place in the classroom in reality versus in these wonderful presentation slides that I have here. And thank you so much to all of you, because this is amazing. I'm learning so much and I'm just, I'm thriving. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Very well said, and thank you for that feedback. I do want to respond very briefly that accelerated learning is, there are several strategies involved, and that's something that we will present to you in the slides, in the presentations to follow. So you're asking all the right questions, because it's like giving me ideas. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next one. So thank you, thank you. Are we ready to move on, friends?
So.
Oh, I saw a really great question in the chat. Is there any way as parents we could somehow observe in person? Once upon a time, it was like, come on down to school anytime and visit. Right now, with the COVID conditions, I don't know the answer to that, just because right now we can't have anyone on campus. But, pre-COVID, it was like, sure, come on down and observe anytime. Just get a visitor sticker. And I look forward to the day when we can do that again. So Terry, I don't know the answer yet. So we will try to maybe address that at the next presentation. Thank you for that question.
One thing to that?
Yes.
Also, you might, when your question about how my child is learning, it would also be great to talk to your teacher about what kind of things they're doing and their strategies and their framework that they're using in the classroom. So that might be helpful.
That's a great point, Gina. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
See, 4 brains are better than 1. Looking ahead, the following sessions, we're taking all this feedback that you've given us, and it's really it's already fueling me. I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Okay, but we are gonna explore what accelerated learning looks like in the following sessions in the English class, in math, in history instruction, and in science. And we have a little something planned for you all. Next slide, please.
Hey, woohoo!
It's raffle time. So while you were all getting, providing your input, which I am so thankful for, we did put all of your names in a virtual bowl to pull a name. Lillia, what's the prize?
Well, because it's been one of those kinds of days where we want something warm and yummy, we get ourselves a $15 gift card to Starbucks.
What? I'm putting my name in the bowl. Okay. I didn't know it was that much. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna take over.
Good luck, everyone. Buena suerte.
Everyone. Okay, so I'm gonna take over. Oh, I have to. This will. Okay, Brian, I'm gonna take over the screen. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Okay, let me share the screen with you so you can see that I am not, pulling favorites or anything like that. Let me show you how we're doing this. Okay, I'm trying to share from my Chromebook and this is not, oh, here we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see my wheel. My students freak out when they see this. I'm like, no, this is the wheel of opportunity. Okay, can you all see my wheel okay? Now, before I spin this wheel, I wanna make sure I have everyone here. So if you're missing, please let me know because I want everyone to have a chance at this. So look and make sure your name is there. Samsung, I don't know who you are, so I just put Samsung. That's what it said in the that's what it said in the participant list. But if your name is missing, please put it in the chat for me. And I apologize if I missed you. Ooh, and Susan, I really like your feedback right there. Oh, Gloria. All right, Gloria, I'll take you out. That's right. You're our Gloria. Gloria, my skating partner. Okay.
Thank you, Miss Gloria.
All right, you're all right. Now your chances are better. All right, do I have everyone? I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anyone. Oh, Raquel, you're Samsung. That could be Carl. Okay, we'll take out Samsung. Thank you, Raquel. Look, you guys are increasing your chances of winning. Is that everyone? All right, good luck, my friends. Let's see, let me turn the sound on this so you guys can hear it. I hope you can hear it. Oh. No, you're not going to hear it because you need to hear it on. I have two devices. I'm echoing now. Okay, here we go. But this part's still fun.
Woo!
And the winner is
Karina! Yay!
Oh, thank you.
Yay! Thank you for sticking around. Now, Lillia, how do you want to?
So Karina, just put in there your student's name, even if it's just one of your student name and school. That's all we need in the chat, please. Pon el nombre de tu hijo y su escuela en el chat. Okay,
All right.
Felicidades, Karina.
And Elizabeth, thank you so much for putting that in the chat. We really, really want feedback so that we could give you more tailored presentations. So there are two different links to fill out for this evaluation. There's one in English and one in Spanish. And I think both are they both in the chat?
Yes, they are.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Entonces, si pueden también hacernos un gran favor y hacer clic en el enlace que está en la ventana del chat y ahí ustedes van a poder hacernos saber su evaluación acerca de este taller. Esperamos que lo hayan disfrutado mucho y les damos las gracias a todos los que estuvieron aquí.
Okay. And so please take your time filling out that the survey. And we thank you so much for taking this time to be with us on a Monday evening. You still have a week ahead of you. And I know we have kids to get ready for bed. So thank you for being here. Our information is on the slide. Should you need to contact us for further information. And from my colleagues, any parting words?
I do. I think it's past everyone's bedtime, all the kids.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Gracias.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure. presenting to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
guys for being
coaches,
here.
for an amazing presentation. And thank you, Jeff and Collaborate Pasadena, for helping us with the technology part and making it happen. So the next one for accelerated learning is scheduled for December 6th, 6:30 p.m. And so hopefully you would come back and join us for the next one. The flyer will be in our weekly newsletter that goes out every Wednesday. And if anybody wishes to receive it directly, just put your name in the chat box or just email familycenter@pusd.us.
Gracias a todos por acompañarnos y la siguiente sesión de este taller será el día 6 de diciembre a las 6:30. Acompáñenos, por favor. El volante con la información sobre ese taller estará en el boletín semanal de los miércoles de la oficina de Susan. Si quieren recibirlo directamente, pueden poner su nombre en el chat o pueden mandar un email a la dirección que Elizabeth acaba de poner en el chat y entonces le enviarán el boletín directamente a ustedes.
Thank you, everyone. And if there are no more questions or comments or feedback, I think we're good to go. Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you for
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
coaches. Thank you so
Gina-
much. Thank you, everybody.
Gina and the team, can you stay for a second?
Sure.
If possible. I know it's past the bedtime, but I just wanted to kind of for us to decide when we meet next instead of sending emails back and forth.
Yes, debrief. Miss Karina, if you're still there,